Hello again, everyone. My name is David Persin. Thank you for joining me, and welcome to Bedtime with Sandman Dave. For those of you who might not know, the Sandman was a mythical character of European folklore who was known for helping people go to sleep and inspiring beautiful dreams. So, what I'd like you to do is grab the melatonin supplements and a pillow, lay back, and hopefully let the soothing sounds of my boring voice kind of send you off into sleepy time heaven. Once again, I can't thank you enough for joining me today, spending your valuable time. I'm going to apologize in advance for an even more rambling presentation than usual. I know that's hard to believe. I spent quite a bit of time this past week just really diving into my collection, trying to get it cataloged so that I was able to present in the future very soon some of the kind of interesting nuances of it. So, been kind of an exhausting exercise that actually involved the whole family in doing that. But we're getting pretty close to where I feel like I can show you some stuff that's kind of neat and kind of incredible. So I'm also realizing the more time I spend at home, the less stories I have. So I'm running out of stories because pandemic lockdown means I've got not enough crazy thoughts filling my head. So pandemic or not, I've got to get out of the house more, and I'm realizing that more and more every single day. And by the way, this is video number 4. I can only hope that you watched videos 1 through 3 because there will be a test, a graded test, at the end of the series. And I wouldn't want you to fail miserably simply because you chose to miss a few segments, whether or not those were looked at as being important or not. You need to have the whole thing under your belt, okay? So what's happened since we last got together? Well, first, it's clear I have yet to cut my hair. I don't know if you're allowed to cut our hair yet or not, but I didn't really have to tell you that. It's pretty clear just by taking a look. Second, my wife has agreed to continue to sleep in our bed for a nightly financial allowance, which she's accruing towards something she calls her hobby, which is buying window coverings. Third, my youngest son, who appeared in the last video, he is actually demanding royalties for his appearance. Royalties based on my number of views. So I said to him, buddy, you did a great job, no question about that, but you didn't do that much. To which he replies, that's not my fault. You wrote the script. I don't know. And then there's my 21-year-old son with his girlfriend, she of the fame, the infamy, dead cat puzzle gifter fame, I should say. And so she's at it again. My kids, ton of them, got to be the laziest bunch I've ever seen. We are terrible parents. My wife and I look at each other. We're just terrible parents. There's nothing to say about it. No excuses. We don't want the kids even. We can't take the kids anymore. We'd like to split. It's kind of a tired relationship. No one wants to take the kids. Okay, so we can't split because no one wants the kids. So these kids, what they do all day is they sit on the couch and do nothing, phones or television. And it's like they're virtual beings. So when you ask them to lift a hand, they don't have hands. They're virtual. They can't lift a hand to help. Well, fortunately, my wife is Greek heritage, and she's very good at convincing, aka yelling, to get the job done. So one day she convinced them to get up off their butts and get to the kitchen, help with the dishes. Not 5 minutes into the task, here's the girlfriend, okay, who conveniently drops a bowl and cracks it. By the way, a nice bowl. She's standing there apologizing profusely, and she's like this. I'm so sorry. I just wasn't cut out for this kind of thing. What? How do you get cut out to do the dishes? Is there a training program for doing the dishes? So she's not fooling anyone. She clearly knew if I crack a dish early and often, no one's inviting me back into that kitchen to help with the dishes. We're on to her. And the only thing I'm waiting for now is probably a puzzle of my dead dish. I suppose will maybe arrive in the mail in the next week or two. I don't even know. And then finally, we have my 23-year-old son and his girlfriend. All of these folks have been staying with us during the pandemic. School's out. They're hanging around, whatever, doing nothing. Well, all of them, including the rest of the family, not so much myself because I don't want to waste the brain power, they've developed an addiction to a game called Exploding Kittens. By the way, kittens or kittens. The girlfriend says kittens. So I've determined that you don't need the T in the English language. Is it kittens or kittens? Does it matter? Is it the mountain or are you at the mountain? You don't need the T's. Just get rid of your T's. I think it'll save you maybe another syllable somewhere down the line. So here's what they do. The family's got locked into this game. They play it all the time. It's addictive passion. And she, the girlfriend, and my son argue incessantly during the game about how they don't support each other enough as try to provide victory. She's the most competitive person I've ever known in my life. So they get into this where they don't support each another enough, but then they're trying to rip the fur off each other. And I want to use a cat analogy, like claw the fur off each other to try to win for themselves. Well, what do they not get? Do they not understand this? A, is a game. Two, there's something called sportsmanship. Three, a relationship should not be based on competition of two people. If it does, 5 years later, this is still what they're doing, because it's not going to last. So good luck with that thing. But that's how they deal with it. And that's what they think at that point is important. Again, my wife and I looking at them and going, boy, they've got a lot of growing up to do. Yes, there are certain situations where you are incented, focused, and trained to win. Think about corporate sales, think about professional sports, etc. But I believe from my experience in life that in other situations that don't come anywhere close to those, like playing a game, if you're over the top that much, you're just insecure, you have an insecurity, and that's basically what it's more born of than anything else. I love to win a game myself. I love to win a game I'm coaching, but I also love to see other people win as well because that means that in the long run, they get to experience the success and happiness of that moment, and that makes me happy for them. So why am I off on this tangent? Okay. Well, this week I received a comment from one of you. By the way, 99.9% of the comments have been extraordinarily positive. So shouldn't I deserve to get one every once in a while that's not? Of course, not really, but you have to say that, right? Politically correct. So the gentleman said, you know what? There is no way that you have the best collection. He said, and he started naming names. This person has a better collection. This person has more cards than you. This person has more graded cards than you. This person has a collection that's worth more, and even said that his collection was better than mine. So, and he used the word best, the best collection, that I said I had the best collection. Well, I want to make it clear that I would never, have never, and will never call my collection the best. Can't find it anywhere, don't try. So the reason is because everybody's collection is wonderful in and of itself and to them, and should be and deserves to be celebrated. So I didn't rip into the commenter. That's not my way. I believe everyone is entitled to their own opinion. But what I did say is my collection is simply different. My collection is focused on trying to obtain the most different English language Pokemon cards available from wherever they're possibly available. And that's what my goal is. I personally feel very secure in my life, in my goals, in myself, my collection, etc. So I don't feel the need to compete with anyone. It's not of interest to me. In fact, even when I have a tinge of jealousy because I see someone else doing something that I'm like, oh boy, I wish that were me, or God, I wish I had 4 of those boxes or something instead of 2, I think, you know what, good for them. I really hope it makes them happy. As a teenager, I watched a lot of a show called Perry Mason. It was about an investigative attorney. And ironically, I saw a trailer for it just about 2 or 3 days ago, meaning as everything in life, it's coming back either as a series or as a movie in the theaters very soon. So I love the show. I love the idea of being an attorney. And I made it a goal of mine for somewhere in my life. And later in life, I actually went to law school, graduated law school from Santa Clara, and was happy to have achieved that designation. The thing was that as I began to get involved in the field and was in the litigation field, I realized it was not for me at all. I did not like the competition and the confrontation. I can't even watch people get into it. I like, don't get me wrong, I like MMA on TV and that kind of stuff, but I do not like 2 people going at it when they're fighting. I just has no interest. It sort of turns me off completely. So later in life, I'm now starting my career as a financial advisor, and I'm dreading having to compete with other people in the office to get new clients. When the boss says, I want you guys to understand something, there's plenty of business to go around. You should not be competing with each other. You should be collaborating and helping each other, supporting each other, learning from each other so you can hopefully derive at optimal outcomes for all of you. So I say all of this because I want you guys to all realize if those of you out there that feel the same way as I do about competition should understand you should not be comparing your collections to anyone else. You should be proud of what you're doing, enjoying it. Some people collect not for investment, just purely for enjoyment. You should enjoy the memories, the stories along the way. That's how I do it, and that's what's important to me. Hopefully it'll be important for you. And I'll say one more thing about this. I'm always here to help. I'm not competitive. If I can help you in any way, reach out, ask me questions, ask me for my advice. It's not to say I can help or not, but if I can, I would certainly do my best to try to. Hopefully, maybe someday I ask for you to return the favor with no guarantees and no promise of reciprocity, but maybe you would because we're all working together in collaboration. So let me get down off my soapbox. Let me talk about one question that was, before I go into the set this week, let me go into one question that was posed to me, which is, why don't I grade my cards? And I decided I would detail this a little bit more than what I did in the original video when I just kind of mentioned it. So I have to say very much in the beginning of this, I am not bashing folks who grade their cards. Not at all. Just like you're getting a sense of me, I believe everyone's entitled to do what they want to do. They're entitled to their own opinion. They're entitled to do what resonates with them, what's best for them and their collection. So no bashing. Grading is great for certain areas. It just doesn't work for me. So where is grading great? Grading is great for differentiation of value and condition. That's where. You want to know that your card's an 8 versus a 7 or a 10 versus an 8, and maybe that makes a great big financial difference. Maybe that you really want to own 10s because that's what you want to own. It resonates with you, or something 9 or better. You would grade to make sure you'd feel great about those cards coming back that way. You'd feel satisfied. So for me, there are specific reasons why I don't grade. Number one is a lot of my cards are extremely, extremely rare. Part of that is they wouldn't be gradable because there wouldn't be more than 1 or 2 out there that the grading agency would be able to authenticate. And number 2 is I really don't want to send them away, have them out of my possession, where, God forbid, they might actually get switched by someone, or in the worst case, not even come back to me. Number 2, I'm not interested in paying the money that it takes to grade cards because I'd rather spend that money on buying up all of these other cards I need for my collection almost on a perpetual basis. Number 3, the storage issues, which I mentioned before. When you have tens of thousands of cards that you might potentially have to grade, as I do, it would be very hard to store them as opposed to the basics being in some binder pages and then some others in hard card holders, whatever. It just would really potentially get very much out of hand. And finally, I really don't want some random, potentially untrained, inexperienced person, depending on who's working that day, deciding on my cards and whether or not they're an 8, 9, or a 10. And of course, this can lead to great inconsistencies. I believe that I have been in the business. I don't believe I've been in the business. I've been in business my whole life. So I certainly know card conditions and can grade anything as well as anybody else. So I really don't want, and not to use an age, but let's say somebody was just starting out. So it was a 22-year-old looking at the cards and deciding what it was. And there's been a lot of inconsistency in grading, and people will admit to that all the time, that there's been some dissatisfaction amongst many people who get the cards back. Do you realize that you can take cards, and most of you do, but my new folks that are watching won't, that you can actually take cards that are graded, you don't like the grade, apparently send them back, pay them more money, the grading agency, and they, as an appeal, and maybe they'll re-rate it and regrade it for you. And oftentimes I hear those come back with higher grades. So does that mean you can kind of pay for a higher grade? It does make you wonder a little bit where all that inconsistency comes from. Let me ask you, if I were selling my collection tomorrow and you had the money to buy it, would you not buy it because the cards are in top condition but not graded? So would you worry about the authenticity of the collection because you would take the word of some grading agency folks who haven't even seen the cards I've seen versus mine? I don't know. Maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't. But I would think that if I'm not focused on lower condition cards, and I will say that right up front, I'm focused on cards that are near mint to mint or better in all instances. If I'm focused on lower condition cards and you've got to find out if it's a 5, 6, or 7 or something, maybe there is quite a bit of differentiation. But if I'm focused on a top-notch, high-condition set and collecting cards of all of that range, I don't care if mine are a tinge better or worse than someone else's. And I don't really care what they're valued at because they're valued, as I said in my beginning video as well, they're valuable to me in just the fact that I have them, not necessarily the tangible monetary value of the cards. I'm going to leave you with one last thought on grading. Again, I have nothing against grading. I understand completely why people do it, so no need to bash here. I'm talking just about me. What about grading packs? So many of you now understand that PSA will also grade packs. So these days, what a lot of sellers are doing is they are weighing their packs. And again, this is more for the new people, but weighing packs essentially means that there's these calibrated scales, very, very specific, down to the millimeter, where a seller can weigh a pack and decide, very likely based on the weight, that it's called a heavier pack and likely has a holographic card of value inside it. So how about this? Here's a great scheme for you. Excuse me. You weigh the packs and you take the heavy ones and you either open them or you sell them. Now you take all the light packs, and the sellers can easily send them off to PSA and get them graded, because they're graded on looks alone, not on the contents. PSA has no interest in weighing at this point in time. So they say those packs look fantastic. They're 9s or 10s for sure. Then the seller goes back on the eBay, puts the packs out, and sells them for a premium price because the packs are rated as 9 or 10 to unsuspecting buyers who never even ask the question if there's anything inside. So we have to be careful of grading being the legitimate be-all, end-all of anything, because it really shouldn't be. There should be other things, I believe, involved as well. Okay, now, since I focused my earlier comments on what I collect, the comprehensiveness of different collections and of my collection and of every set I'm trying to collect, I decided today to dive into the Diamond and Pearl base set, first base set, okay? First set of the series. And I want to look at the master set that I put together. I want to review very quickly that a master set, again, the terminology means that it's basically any card. You need the D on that one. That's not like the T from mittens and kittens. You need the car, or else you need the card, the D to make the card, or else you're buying a car, and that's a whole different transaction level. Okay, back on track. Any card you can receive from the booster packs, so that would be all your regulars and your reverse hollows and your regular commons and rares and all the secret rares, etc., whatever be in the set. And then any other card you could potentially obtain. That could be from a collection box, a collector's tin. That could be going to a state championships, a national championship, a regional championships, staff stamped, etc. So we're going to look at that. It ends up, as I look through the Diamond and Pearl base set, it really is not very sexy. It really, gosh, in looking at it, as you know, I don't look at my cards very often, kind of boring, honestly. So the meat of the set is going to come in the variants, and I think you'll find that much more interesting. Let's talk about some of the statistics for the set. It was released in May of 2007. It's just hard to believe that was 13 years ago. The full master set is 130 cards, regular cards I call them, 119 reverse hollows, and 31 English language variants. Interestingly, none of the variants come out of theme decks, so there were no variants that came out of theme decks for this set. But think about that percentage, 31 cards that you'd have to go and obtain to try to fill out a full master set. I'm going to show you some of the cards now. I'm still not good at using the computer. I know the camera's not perfect, but we're going to do the best we can. There were only 3 level X hollows in this set, so I'm going to show them to you first. This is the Empoleum. Keep in mind the numbers on these are 120 of 130, 121 of 130, the Infernape with, again, the silver border holographs, and number 122 of 130, the Torterra. Wish I could figure out how to do the camera. Someday one of you guys will tell me, stop tilting left, stop tilting right, move it around a little bit. Okay, I'm trying. So, by the way, why are there not higher numbered cards? Why does it only 122 of 130? Everything from 123 on was actually energy cards. Again, what I would tell you, a kind of boring set. Okay, now what I want to show you is some of the variants in the set, and this is where things begin to get a lot more interesting. So, first of all, you have the Luxio card. Remember that each of these cards I'm showing you is in the set in some form in both the, I should move to the staff so you can see it here. They're in the set in the common and in the reverse hollow, and then you have this pre-release and a pre-release staff. And hopefully you can see the staff at the left bottom corner of the picture where you've got pre-release and pre-release staff for the pre-release of the cards. Now, you've got, in addition, more Luxio cards. Same exact thing. This means there's a total of 6 different cards that you could get in the same Luxio with different stamps and on the card like this, the state championship card, and along with the staff that you can see on the other corner of this one. Back over here, David. Can't you figure it out? Move left. Okay, I'm trying. We're on camera. Stop talking, show cards. Okay, let's do that. Then we've got the Electivire Regional Championship card and staff. Again, all of these cards at the bottom have the same number as something in the set, but with the additional stamps. You've got the Luxray National Championships and staff. You have the Shinx. I showed you, I pulled the reverse hollow from the set, so you could see this one, the reverse hollow, and then noticed the one that's exactly the same, it's reverse hollow, but it has a diamond and pearl stamp in the bottom right corner. That card is actually from the 2008 Burger King set, a 12-card set that was released, and you'll see a few more in here that you would need to have purchased or get those cards if you want to fill out every card from this set. You need those stamped cards. In addition, there's more Shinx cards. There's the Shinx City Championship cards. Again, the same type of art, but now the staff stamp at the bottom as well. So this is the city and the staff stamped on the bottom corner of the left corner of the picture as well. I'm going to show you the Chimchar cards, okay? So again, I'm just showing you 2 cards of the Chimchars. One of them is the Chimchar with a diamond and pearl stamp from the Burger King set 2008. And the other one is not the reverse hollow. It's actually a hollow card of Chimchar that came out of the spring 2007 collector's tins. So you would have need to get, it's got the little flex in the back of the hollow. So you need to have the tins to be able to complete a full card set of this as well. And then this is the Professor Rowan Professor stamped cards. So if you notice, one has the actual Professor stamp on them, and the other has the Cosmos Hollow, which is not stamped, but actually came out from the Diamond and Pearl collection box back in that time frame as well. So again, some of these cards are not so easy to find these days because it's been many years since the product that contained them was out there. Let's move on to the Turtwigs. Here's the Turtwigs. Can I say that with a T? Turtwig. Let's try it without the T. Turtwig. You just kind of stop and let it go. Turtwig. So there's the Diamond and Pearl Burger King stamp card, and there's the reverse hollow from the set, just the basic reverse hollow. No, I'm sorry, it is not. The Turtwig, my bad, is the Cosmos hollow, or the really shiny hollow from the collector's tin. Okay, here's a very rare card. This is the Turtwig issued in a different way. New York 2008, the annual distributors meeting. There were cards given to some of the very biggest distributors in the country by the Pokemon head people. So this is one from New York 2008. There's apparently somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 to 12 of these cards that exist. The numbers have never been able to be really figured out, but the last one that was on eBay, each of these cards was a couple of $1,000s about a year ago, and we haven't seen any since that time. Let's go on to Piplup. Here is the Diamond and Pearl Burger King, the reverse hollow that shows you the same card without the stamp. And then this is, again, the tin Cosmos hollow, and I'll show you that one. And then let me focus here on the San Diego 07. This is from another distributors conference in San Diego of 07. By the way, there were 3 of these distributor conferences cards issued. Only 2 are in this set. And so again, a very rare card that you very rarely see out there at all anymore these days. All right, here's where we dovetail into one of the most neat sets that I've ever come across and one of the best stories I've got. It's not a great sounding story. It's heartwarming to me because it meant so much to me at the time. So there's a few other cards in the set. I haven't shown them all to you, but a lot of them are the Burger King stamps and others. I want to show you one other style of card. And these cards came out of what's called the Countdown Calendar that was put out in 2008. Not in the United States. It was put out in various other countries. I'm going to show you the box real quick that the stuff comes in. So many of you may be familiar with this. Some of you may not. I try to hold it back a little bit. So this calendar was released in 2008. It came out in countries like Germany and Canada, Norway, the Netherlands, Belgium, etc. And it was done for Christmas. So these are tabs for each of the days for Christmas. I'll turn it around and show you that as well. And inside, by the way, this is the blue box version of the Countdown Calendar. There is one other version. It does not have English language cards. I think it might have German or something else. So this has 24 cards inside this calendar. And the cards have a snowflake stamp on the bottom of each of them. Let me show you one here. So this is what they look like. This is one of the cards of the 24 cards that comes in the box. I do want to tell you that the cards inside the box are not always in the best of condition because I think they're basically laying in there and allowed to kind of fly around. So I'm going to show you the 4 cards as I talk that came from this set in the Diamond and Pearl base set that came out of the Snowflake set, the Countdown Calendar set. 23 of the 24 cards have a gold snowflake stamp on the bottom right corner. One of the cards does not. One of the cards, which is Pikachu, has a silver stamp, not gold. And I think this is going to end up being one of the most sought after and valuable sets, mini sets down the road as any others. I was scouring the world at this time when I figured out that this set existed, trying to see if I could find any of these sets and pick them up. They're about $35, $40, give or take $5 or $10. You could not find them anywhere. So I was lucky to find them and tried to buy them up wherever I could find them. I'm going to show you the last one, the Pikachu and the story. But this is, by the way, this is the Pikachu from the Diamond and Pearl promo set, number 16. Oh, I know you can't see the number. David, can't you get a better camera so we can see the number? We know we just got to get those likes and subscriptions up just a little bit. Everything costs money. Cards or cameras, I'm going cards. Guess what? Here's the Pikachu card. So here's the Pikachu with the silver snowflake stamp, the same DP16. And if you have a DP promo set and you wanted to complete that set in full, you would need to have this snowflake stamp as well. So what I want to tell you about the card set is that they now sell for about $300 or $400 or more dollars for a set. The boxes are anywhere between 500 and 1,000, give or take. Very hard to find. And once people realize how rare they are, I think they'll go up much more in value just because in good condition, they're going to be hard to find. The heartwarming story I told you, or the silly story, I guess it's not really a heartwarming, but it was exciting for me, was I bought one of the sets from a website in Peru. Now, let me say this. I don't know what language Peru speaks. Is it Spanish? If it is, I took Spanish in high school. Okay? I don't remember which high school I went to, much less the Spanish I learned inside the high school. So whatever language I should have known to deal with that website, I had no idea. I'm out there looking for my credit card saying, let's give this a whirl. Let's try to translate. What does it even say? What am I buying? And I put a credit card number in. And I waited for about a month thinking, you're either a genius or a complete idiot. Okay, most of the time I fall on the latter side of that. In this case, I got lucky. And sure enough, a month later, in the mail comes a snowflake stamped countdown calendar set of 24 that I still have today for my collection. That was just remarkable that I just laugh. I say, how do things like this even happen? I guess when you're desperate enough and you're searching, sometimes good things do happen. All right, I'm going to finish with one last thing here today. Thanks for your time again. I work on my life on two tenets, two mantras that they guide me in everything. Number one is full accountability, and number two is full transparency. Full accountability means if something happens that's not supposed to happen, I need to look at myself first and not blame other people. What was my role in it? What place did I play in it? Did I misunderstand something? How could I have done something different to make things better? Always look inward, take responsibility. Number two is full transparency. Full transparency means tell it like it is. Don't pull the wool over other people's eyes. Tell it like it is. Make sure they understand what you're thinking. Tell them what you're thinking so you can collaboratively work with them. Now, it's not going to work for everyone, because some people feel like they've got to do things their own way. But I try my best I can to do that. So today, in the effort of full transparency, I'm asking for your help. Today, we're going to talk about an acronym called SEO. SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. It's the way that YouTube looks at anyone's videos and decides, are they going to bump them up in the search chain so that other people can find them? You folks that I'm speaking to, most of you are more experienced collectors. You're on the forums and the boards and all the rest of it talking to each other. But there's a whole series of new collectors I'd like to appeal to by at least giving them an excitement and an understanding and a basic kind of get off on the right start with your Pokemon type of vibe. I can't do that without you folks watching, liking, commenting, subscribing, etc. to the videos. And by the way, you know what YouTube likes? I found out they like commenting. So say anything you want. Go out there and say, David, your hair is terrible. I'll come to your house and cut it with a mask. I don't care what you say. Put a comment out there. Ask me questions. Challenge me. Maybe not as much as the one gentleman who asked me about or who said I didn't have the best collection. I never did either. But just put it out there. Tell your friends. Subscribe. Find some other folks to subscribe. Tell all your neighbors. Let's try to see if we can get this thing elevated, but definitely do that for me. I appreciate it. The last thing is I found out as well with respect to search engine optimization, guess what? The longer you watch my videos, the more you're engaged, the more you actually are deemed to find them interesting, etc. So I'm not proud. Put the video on. When you're done watching it 12 minutes, you're like, here's another 20-minute one. I gave it my best. I got to 12 this time. Here's what you do. Another 20-minute, that'd be a goal, right? 30 minutes, sorry. Put the video on when you're taking a bath. Put the video on, turn me away. I'm not looking. It's not real lifetime, okay? Put on when you're making dinner, when you're doing the house chores, you're dusting or vacuuming, stick me on in the background. It's not going to hurt anyone. You don't need to tell. I won't tell. We're just going to let the thing run so that time just keeps going up and we're able to elevate. We want to elevate and get my search engine optimization as high as it can be. Thank you very much. With that, I'm going to say goodbye. Again, my sincere thanks. You don't have to spend this time with me. Whatever 4 to 5 minutes of my 30-minute videos you spend, that means you don't even see this, so that makes no sense at all. But I do appreciate your kind attention, and I hope next time to do a better presentation when I'm not as exhausted. but I do very much look forward to seeing you guys all again real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.